Good morning. Hi, everybody. How are you all doing? How's everyone? Good morning. It's another day, and the Lord has kept us. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing what the Lord has done. I appreciate Him for everything He's done. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to come in. Thank you for taking the time to come in. I pray that all of you woke up this morning and the Lord was the first thing on your mind. That's my prayer. Not the circumstances that we're looking at, not the things that we see, not the things around us and the things that transpire, but that the Lord has just been just that good, right? That's my prayer this morning. Good morning, Demetria. How are you? So glad that you're here. Thank you to everybody who said good morning. I have not said it too. I appreciate you for coming in. Thank you so much for just being here. I'm appreciative of your sacrifice for coming in, right? I'm appreciative of that. And so a lot of you probably a bright eye and bushy tail, which is an amazing thing. Good morning, Dr. Jackie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody, in advance for watching the replay. I'm just happy to know that you thought enough to come in and listen to the replay. I certainly pray what we share this morning will be a blessing to you, not just you, but to those that you share it with as well, right? So listen, I miss all the talking thus far. Housekeeping items. If you're not following me, I would love to see you on Instagram. And then check out my profile on Instagram. There's some things in there that you might want to click on that will take you to other areas. Surprise, 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 right? Surprise. Anyway, so let's get started. So it's affirmation time, a time where I share with you some things that may have encouraged me throughout the week that the Lord has talked about with me, right? That He shared with me, that He's downloaded into me, that I just want to impart with you. So I want to talk about this morning. We're still in the realm of hope, but something in this day and time I think is very important. I want to talk about the word in particular, mindset. Mindset. When we think of mindset in a short view here or a short context here, we're thinking about our disposition, right? Mhm. We're thinking about our mood, our mode, our mode. We're also thinking about our attitude, right? Our attitude. It is very important how we begin to mold our attitude, our mind, or our posture. Has anybody begin to understand that as they begin to maturate with life and as situations begin to happen, as things begin to change, you understand that it's important that you are cognizant of your mindset of the situation, your mindset of the circumstance. It is important that you begin to not allow your mind to control the situation. You not allow your mind to dictate how you perceive. Keyword here: how you perceive the outcome will come of whatever the circumstance is of the situation. You always hear people always say, or oftentimes say, that God is in control. This is true. I totally agree with them. God is in control. He's in control. And so, because He's in control, it's important that we understand it is not us, it is not we ourselves. But a psalm that comes to mind: we are His people. Psalms 100. We are His people, and we're the sheep of His pastures. I talked about that a couple of weeks back. But in that whole context, we do not move of our own recognizance. We do not move of our own being. It is in Him that we live, we move, and we have our being. But one thing, there is no kind of force. He does not strong us into salvation, but salvation is free. And if it is free, it's up to us to understand that our mindset. So He gives us an opportunity to decide whether we want to be a Christian or whether we don't. Right. So let's stay in the context of where we are this morning. I thought about Nehemiah in 2 Kings, the 5th chapter. I want to try to travel a little bit through verses 1 through, I believe, 13. If you bear with me this morning, we're going to stay there just for a moment. And we're going to begin to talk a little bit about the things that we saw, the things that we know, or that we, better yet, we understand here. So in this context, we find that Naaman was a commander of the Syrian army, and he was a great man of valor. He was considered very influential, if you will, or considered in a high regard because the Lord was with him when he won a great battle or great victory for the Syrians, right? But there's one thing here. Although he had wealth, he had influence, he was a man of great valor. Naaman had a problem. Does anybody remember the problem that Naaman had? It's a great story. If you haven't read it, I certainly admonish you to go back to Second Kings, the fifth chapter, and take note of it yourself. But the one problem that Naaman had, amidst all of this, he was a leper. Leprosy, we understand in that day and time, in that culture, that it was a skin condition. So it was and it was not curable. Here is the point: it was not curable. So so it is with us. A lot of times in day and times we can find ourselves in great fortune, great influence, but there's a problem amidst us. There's a problem among us. And when that problem is there, sometimes we try to take things into our own hands. Let's walk a little further in the text. And so we find out who Naaman is in Second Kings chapter 5. And as we find out who he is, we find out he's a great man of valor. But we also find out during that particular war, I'm paraphrasing because I'm walking through the text. I want you to stay with me, if you will. We find that there was a maiden, a handmaiden, if you will, that they took while they were in the army, while they were in war. I'm sorry. So they took the handmaiden, and while they took the handmaiden, she became the servant for his mistress. And so she began to say to the mistress that worked for Naaman, if your master would only go and see the prophet over in Israel, he could heal him. So this draws us to our point here. And so we're going to jump a little further down because we find that she has now told, verse 3, she's told her that he could help him recover and that she could return to his place of health, right? So let's jump down to verse 5. In verse 5, we're going to find, we're going to identify our first point of interest. And the first point of interest brings us to the mindset of Naaman. So we find that this is where it reads, I want you to follow me on this. I said, I don't want to paraphrase too much, but I want to read a little bit. So we find in 2 Kings 5th chapter, 5th verse, and the king of Syria said, go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. In verse 5, we find that Naaman is a man of valor. But in him being a man of valor, this is where he embraces the idea, his mindset, his attitude, or his mode, if you will, at this time, that he could pay for his healing. Now, he was told about it, and rather than going to see, he thought in his mind, such as we are, he would go and pay for it and take a nice gift, if you will, so much to include it to be a bribery. Oftentimes, we find ourselves getting engrossed with things like this when we feel as though this is our way, this is our doing. Our mindset at this time is in a different place than it should be, not to get our healing, but what we can do and who we are and what we can bring to the table. Help us, Lord. So let's move further. Now, in the letter, we find that Naaman the servant, we're moving down to verse 6 here. We're moving down to verse 6 if you're following me in the text, that the letter begins to give him an or mode or disposition, if you will, that, I am the Roman soldier, I am the commander. And so as such, he begins to get a little haughty here. He's already there, but it begins to move a little further. I need healing, but yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming, but I'm going to see the king, the king. And I want him to do this for me, right? So his mindset was believing that his connections from his king had influence. And so it is, we find ourselves in connection sometimes that we believe it gives us access to our blessings. We believe that the connections that we have brings us access to our blessings. Think about that thing. That was verse 6, where he said he brought the letter from the to the king of Israel, saying, now when this letter is coming to thee, behold, I therewith sent Naaman my servant. So his king is written for him. that thou mayest recover him from leprosy. That's verse 6. We're going to move down a little further. And as we move down a little further, I want you to begin to take note of a few more things here. So we find that the letter is there, and that the king is very upset because he's like, well, so who is this? Who is this Roman soldier? Who is he to think that I'm God, that I can heal him, that I can do these things? So he's brought about another or his mindset, his mode. He needs deliverance, but it's brought about another or into the whole arching of what he needs. Amazing how our mindset can begin to just put another trajectory on what we need because we have gotten so caught up in ourselves. So we're going to move to verse 9. In verse 9, we find that when Naaman arrives, he arrives because the king is upset. So the king does not see him. So he sends him to go see Elisha. So he goes to the house of Elijah. When he gets to the house of Elijah, I'm certainly paraphrasing. I admonish you to certainly read it in your own time. But when he gets to the house of Elijah, he brings his horses, he brings his chariot. I am the Roman soldier. I am who I say, who they say that I am. His mindset and his mode, his disposition, his attitude is still in the wrong place. So it is with us. When we feel like we have influence and we feel like we're above whatever the healing or whatever they've suggested that we do, we're in another place, right? So when Naaman arrives to the house, the prophet of Israel with his horses, his gesture, his stature suggests that he is great and he doesn't need to wait. He doesn't need to hold on. He doesn't need to look any further. He needs to come see him. So verse 10 says, and Elijah sent a messenger. Elijah didn't come. He sent a messenger to the man that felt that he had influence. So Elijah sends a messenger unto him, saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. I thought about the context of what was going on in this whole picture. I'm sure the Lord was watching, and the Lord could have come and he could have healed them. But no, sometimes and so it is for us. Sometimes we're sitting and we're feeling that we're comfortable, or we feel that we're in that place of influence, and that the Lord should come see us because of who we are. But in the process, there is a lesson to be learned. The Lord could have come, but he didn't, because we sometimes need to be taught a lesson. So things move on a little longer. We tarry a little longer in that place because we still have not gotten the understanding, and we still have not gotten the picture of what the Lord is trying to give to us. So let's move a little further to verse 10. And verse 10 reads, Elijah sent a messenger unto him, saying, go and wash in Jordan 7 times. We read this before, but I want you to get it. Thy flesh shall come again to thee, and shall make thee clean. Thy flesh shall make thee clean. So Elijah has now given orders. The Roman soldier. Elijah has now given orders to the Roman soldier. Elijah's mindset shows up here. It shows up here. So in verse 11, we're going to move to verse 11. Now we find that Naaman becomes angry because Elijah sent a messenger to him. Elijah didn't come. Elijah sent a messenger to him. So the Bible says in verse 11 that Elijah was angry. He went away mad. And he begins to say what he thought and how he thought Elisha should have handled his healing. You've come to the man of God for healing, but you want to suggest how you think things should happen because of who you think you are. Your mind is not in the right place. Your mindset is not a benefit to you. Your mindset is only a hindrance to your healing. I hope you're getting this. We are our own worst enemies. We've heard that before. And sometimes we are our own detriments to our own healing. The place of focus for me here is that throughout this entire process, again, the Lord had the power. The Lord had the power. But the lesson for me, and not just for me, but I'm sure for Naaman, was your attitude is wrong. Your mindset is wrong. You've come to the mend of God, seeking that the Lord would heal, seeking that the Lord would cure you of your uncurable disease. But you've come with reservations. You've actually come with a list of things of how you think things should move. We should catch this in the spirit. We have our own hangups, and our hangups hinder us from going forward. A lot of times we go to the Lord and we ask the Lord to heal us, to ask the Lord to deliver us, ask the Lord to bring us out. But when we get there, we're sincere, perhaps. And while we're being sincere in that whole picture, our mindset, our attitude becomes the problem for our healing. Because as quiet as it's kept, we may ask the man or the woman of God to heal us, I mean, to pray for us, but our mindset is the burden. Our mindset is the problem. Our mindset is what does not carry us to the place of deliverance, does not carry us. It hinders us. I want you to think about as you go forward that your mindset must be in a place of humble. You must be humble. Your mindset must be in a place of understanding that it is not you that control the situation. It is not you that control the outcome. Matter not of your position, matter not of your stature. It is you and your mind what hinders. Sometimes people say things like, well, I prayed and I was been fasting and it seemed like I haven't heard a word from the Lord. Well, I would like to admonish you to check yourself, to check your mind, to check your attitude in the whole arching picture. Check it. It's a benefit to us all to understand that our mindset must be in the right place. Oftentimes we enter in worship and we're like, Lord, I'm coming to get my blessing. And sometimes when we get back home, things have not changed. Well, how was your mindset when you got to the house of God? How was your mindset when you entered into worship? Was your mind in the great place? Was your mind in the place that will help you grow? Was your mind in a place that will benefit you? Where was your mindset? How did these things transpire for you? Right? How did those things work for you? How did that work out for you? Your mindset, your disposition, your mode, your mode of thinking, and transpiring to how things work. That helps us. That helps us, and it can also hinder us. Let us not be like Naaman, but let us be one that is willing to be humble in the situation, that the Lord will certainly meet us at our place of need, right? That the Lord, that's the goal, that the Lord will meet us at our place of need, right? Your mindset is very important. I cannot encourage that enough. I pray that this blesses you. Again, I want to admonish you that you go back and read 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 1 through 13. And if you have a time, read it more in it yourself. All right. All right, dear hearts, I have enjoyed this. I appreciate you for coming in. Again, if you're not following me on Twitter, if you're not following me on Instagram, if you're not following me, of course, on Periscope, I would love for you to follow me on Periscope. I got things going on. Everybody, I've enjoyed myself. Take care. And if the Lord say the same, I will see you all on next week. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.